Hey family, it's Tasha, MAMABEAR prepping. You already know what time it is, baby. Get your drink, pull up, get your favorite mug, and pull up for the day, and let's talk about it. So as I promised, this video yesterday, I got to discuss caregiving, our journey with caregiving, how that has been for us, things that we learned along the way that we were not ready for, and just how intense overall it can be, both financially, physically, emotionally, just all of that stuff and combined in one. It can be very, very daunting at times. But it can also be rewarding in the fact of, at the end of the day, what you are doing, the job that you are doing for a loved one, okay? And that part, to me, matters. It matters more than our struggle. It matters more than any concerns or financial concerns, even physical concerns, right? Because the point is, it's a family member, it's a loved one, and you want them to be here for as long as possible to enjoy life with you. And you're helping them to do that with the best quality of life that they can possibly have. So today, what I wanted to do, instead of making yesterday's video super long, is just go over the exact, or like a grocery list. So this is going to be a video on a list for caregiving. I would love, because obviously this is not an all-inclusive list. This is just going to be off of our situation. What I want you to remember is everybody's situation is different. There's going to be specific things that you might require for your situation, depending on what that person needs, requires, what they're diagnosed with, the symptoms that you're treating. All the symptoms are not going to be the same, right? And so there's going to be some stuff on here that you're like, why is that on there? But it's because we are treating the symptoms and the things that happen to somebody when they get Parkinson's. So when you look up Parkinson's, you look up the symptoms of that. All those things are happening to pops, and we're treating those things as they happen, or preparing to treat them in the future. Okay, so let's go over, I have 4 stickies here, and I want to kind of go over them in somewhat of an order. Okay, so right off the bat, I'm going to just get right into it. I have no idea how much stuff is on this list. I'm just going to get into it. So diapers, adult diapers, there is pull-up kind, and there is I guess you could say, and I just thought of something, so hold on. Pull-up kind, and there's kind that wrap. What we found out with diapers is that the good and bad about buying online. Now, you can go to a place that actually sells like a hospice care type business, and typically you can get your diapers, you can get all types of stuff, a lot of this stuff, for a cheaper price. However, there are places when you go to them, do not just assume that because it's a hospice place that the price is going to be cheaper. That is not the case. We literally bought diapers from all over, online, on Amazon, at the local CVS, Walmart, all of that stuff. And the only issue I would say is there is a lot, and so there's a huge decision. If you're starting off fresh, I would not buy 1,000 of them. I would buy a few so you can try them out. One package, try them out. You want to get max absorbency. The problem with that is, what I found is ones that actually have a numbering system for me worked better than just saying max absorbency, because some of them just said, hey, this is our max absorbency, but to me, it wasn't even close, let's say, to a number 6, for example, on the kind that had the number system, right? And so I don't like just going in the dark, I realize, and just saying, hey, max absorbency diapers, because that can mean different things to different companies. So I like to number. I would tell you that the stuff that is at a hospice place or a business that sells that type of stuff did tend to be the stronger, thicker, quality type stuff. Hit or miss on the price though, so pay attention to what you're doing, okay? Just because you're getting it from there doesn't mean, and again, sizing is not always the same as, like, say, clothing necessarily. So get a few, see what's going to be comfortable, right? Pops is a medium, but medium diapers tended to like cut him off a little bit, and he was uncomfortable. And just be thinking what's going to work best for you, okay? So diapers, strength. Pads. We ended up, like I mentioned yesterday, doing a diaper and a pad combo that cut down a lot of what was getting on his underwear and his his like bottoms, whatever he was wearing, sweats, pants, whatever. That helps a lot. And this isn't just pads in like the women's section. They have pads in whatever section that you're getting adult diapers. In that section, you can get pads for the bed. You can get other stuff as well in most stores, but most stores will have the diapers themselves, women's, men's, unisex. They'll have pads, and they'll have the actual pads that like women use during that time of the month, but they're much thicker, right? And they have them for men and women. That way it's thicker in the part where they're going to urinate the most in. Okay. So the pad with a diaper really worked best for us. Now you can say all day, look, you don't need that. You just need to change them more often. That can be a thing, but I'm telling you, when somebody gets to the age where they cannot control themselves, and it doesn't matter, you're controlling their drink, you're doing whatever. It's a hard thing to get down. It's not as easy as just, okay, we're going to change you once an hour. And it's difficult. It's a difficult task, because just getting him up to change, that's a whole evolution that takes 20 to 30 minutes. When you talk about evolution from standing him up, getting him into the walker, walking him to the bathroom, getting him in there, letting him sit down on the toilet for 5 minutes or so, see if he needs to do something else, then starting the process of whatever it's going to do. And this doesn't matter if it's shower time, if it's just a regular bathroom change out, right? Hey, he didn't say he had to go back, but it's just we're going in there to change him out. That's a whole have to cut it off, have to let him sit down for a little, then he's got to stand up, then we've got to get all the other wet clothes away if we have to, put new clothes on if we have to. If not, even just changing that diaper, very slow movements. It's very, very difficult. Mind you, the man is shaking, and it's hard. It's difficult for people who are getting older to do things that you think are very simple, and they're just not. And so the whole evolution, takes half of an hour. And so it's difficult when you say, oh, well, you got to do it every hour, or you got to do it every 2 hours, or whatever the case may be of your guys' schedule. So every little piece counts in helping him stay dry, and stay dry helps him from getting sores, helps him from getting rashes, and getting other things that are uncomfortable for him. Let's go into the pads. So I love the fact that there's a ton of washable pads, like bed pads that you can lay across the couch. And we have several kinds. We got a longer one that's almost the size of a twin bed that we physically use as it's a wet pad, but it's a washable, and we actually use it to move him, right? We use that as night to pull him up when we've got the bed inclined, but to pull him up as much as possible. We use it to like swing his legs out when we're getting him up. It's just easier to move him if he lays down in the wrong way, and then all of a sudden you can tell he's uncomfortable from jump. It's an easier way to move him without physically moving his body and hurting his poor older bones. So I recommend a movable mat, a mat that's long enough that you can actually use to move their body. On top of that, we had another washable mat that was a pretty good size that I ended up folding every day. At first, I just laid it down. It was maybe half the size of a twin bed, but I had it in the middle of the bed. Again, just another barrier, right? Already had the mattress, an actual just regular mattress protector, had another flat mat, and then the fitted sheet, and then I had the movable mat, and then I had this other mat. Well, we realized quickly that he's really soaking through everything. And this is before we got the better diapers. This is before we got the pad. This is before we realized that one smaller pad, I started flipping it to its side and doubling it, and that was helpful. Then we weren't using any kind of disposable pads at first, and we said, let's just try putting that at the end of the day. We've got all these pads, the bed is made. Let's try putting down disposable pads. I think those are a must. I think they do the jobs. I got a 6 and I got a 5 because of shortages. I ran into shortages this entire time for everything that I had to buy. And they only had one of the 6s at the time and some 5s. And so I got both because I knew we were going to go through them. And the 6s, he was still getting down to that first pad. So he was making it through the disposable, and he was making it down to just that first pad, which was amazing, right? Nothing else was wet. We're like, okay, we're getting somewhere. Well, we ran out of those. I opened the 5s. They're super thin. I put 2 of them down. they work like magic. Okay, so number 5's 2 of them, put them down, nothing gets wet now, just the disposables. We throw those away in the morning, and then obviously we just Lysol everything down, spray it down. Okay, you're going to figure out what works best for you. I think it really depends on a case-by-case basis and how much your the person that you're caring for is in control. How much do they actually go and dispense? It's a lot for us. Okay, so getting disposable mats, body pillows, lots of pillows, right? So you have this hospital bed, and you're going to have them whatever position they're needing to be in to sleep. Realize that a neck pillow is good for sleeping at night when it's inclined, better than a pillow itself. Wedges are very good. Wedges are good when you have them in a bed that can't incline. Then get wedges, and wedges come in all different inches if you didn't know. So you can get smaller ones, 8-inch, 10-inch, 12-inch, which is just basically that one side. And then you have your incline. I think my recommendation is an incline pillow like that has removable pieces, so that you can use the different pieces of that wedge for different situations, for traveling, for the out on the couch in the living room, for bed, for different levels of that. We ended up getting the hospital bed, so then at the end of the day, we didn't really use it that much. Mom's was actually using it because she was in the regular bed. So a wedge is needed especially if you don't have the hospital bed. But a nice little neck pillow was nice with the inclined bed. But then you need, full-size pillows on both sides to kind of prop the arms up and elbows so they're not hitting any metal accidentally or hitting anything where they're going to get a bruise. Older people get lots of bruises because they can't really control the weight of them on stuff sometimes. That's why it's important you move them around. You have them sleep on different sides. You have them in different positions out in the living room, because of bed sores and bruising happens very often with them. Okay, so body pillows for the bed, lots of pillows for the bed. At one point we had to do little pillows between his feet so that to keep his feet apart, because he was trying to cross them for comfort. But what was happening is he was pushing on each other and getting really nasty bruises on his, he ended up getting one nasty bruise on his heel, right? And so pillows to help them just place them where they need to be the safest, and to be the most comfortable, all of that stuff. The bed itself, obviously I talked about, hospital bed. We didn't buy a bed. We rented a bed. We found a local place, a local hospice place, and we rented the bed for a month. That cost about $400 and something. I think that was also with Rush. So I think it was like 3 something, but it ended up being 4 something because we paid for it to get it the same day. So just to give you an idea, at least from my surrounding area, that's approximately what it costs for a month. And then that bed comes with like a blow up mattress that has a whole powering unit that sits on the edge of the bed, that blows up. So that again helps with the bruising and stuff, and comfort and bed sores when they're in those beds, because obviously, they're like metal. And that's powered. Then we had stuff like Lysol, having Febreze, it's super important just in general when you're taking care of somebody to keep everything as clean as possible. So we had Lysol, we had Febreze, we had Poopery, we had different distinct and eucalyptus type sprays for the urine smell. And then we had a air purifier in the room, and we also had a diffuser in the room. So basically, just to help filter stuff out, and smell everything. Let's see. So I talked about, okay, hold on. Mattress cover, I talked about those. Okay, I talked about diapers, pads. Okay, wipes. So there's wipes, you can use baby wipes, but there's actual adult wipes, larger size wipes that you can get. And you can get ones that are more of like a big washcloth for wiping, and you can get even ones even bigger for actually people that maybe are not able to get into the shower, that you can actually to clean their bodies. Pops is still good. We're getting them in the shower every single morning. So that is good, but there is some other stuff that we bought because of that. We did end up getting diaper rash because he was getting a little bit of a rash when he came from the car trip. We had bed sore healing cream we finally had to get because he just has one little bed sore that just will not go away. You know, it's healed. It's not a really bad, like, I don't know if you've ever looked at bed sores, but they can get very nasty, really deep, like really infected. His is just, it's totally healed over, but we couldn't get the redness to go away because he's still, at the end of the day, he's sitting a lot. Doesn't matter how much you get them up and walk them around, those bed sores, it's very, very, you know, sensitive area, right? And so we had to get the actual bed. We finally called the doctor instead of using over-the-counter stuff, and we ended up getting over-the-counter stuff, but we needed a recommendation instead of just going blindly into it, because again, there's a lot of stuff on the market, and at the end of the day, you just want to get the stuff that you know is going to work. So we ended up calling. They gave us a recommendation for bed sore healing cream. We got the waterproof bandages to go over that, to seal that so that, you know, he's not getting urine on it when he's going to the bathroom. And I think it's important that you get different sizes of those, because what we ran into is I had a ton of bandages, I had a ton of stuff, but the stuff we had wasn't necessarily, we had some waterproof bandages, but they were smaller stuff. We needed bigger bandage type that were waterproof. And so we had others, all different sizes, but they weren't quite sticking the way they needed to stick because of being so saturated back there, being in a diaper or whatever. So different sizes of the waterproof bandits. I think they have a special name for them, you guys, but essentially it's the Band-Aid that's bigger sizes, and you want different sizes depending on if they have multiple sores or if they have a big sore, little sore, sores that are in different parts, right? So that you're able to get in there and do what you need to do for them. Bruise cream, we got that after we found out what he had done with his heel that one night. And again, that stuff you can buy. There's healing creams that will help with the pain and help with just healing the bruise itself. Urine sprays for odor, right? Big thing is moving stuff. When we first wake them up, obviously the room smells like urine. So it's all about turning on that stuff, getting the diffusers going, getting this stuff sprayed down, Lysol down, getting the urine stuff out of the room as soon as possible. You know, sweeping, mopping, getting everything clean. Same thing with the bathroom, changing trash cans that have, you know, nasty diapers in them often. And so having urine sprays and different things that you can spray in different rooms and different situations. For laundry, you know, I bring it to the laundry room, but I'm immediately spraying it with a Shout Out or an OxyClean or a de-stink type spray while it sits in the basket as we're collecting everything together and getting everything for a full load, right? For him, baby powders, perineal spray, which is basically, it's basically Lysol for private areas, right? Perineal, I think is what I'm saying, right? But basically that's amazing, because when you're wiping, you're not necessarily getting everything. Wipes are not necessarily the be all, and you can get everything. And there's going to be stuff that gets left there that you can't physically see with your eye. And so the perineal spray is great because you can spray it on their crotch area after you're done showering, cleaning, wiping, whatever. And it's going to help kill all the other bacteria that you either didn't get, didn't see, whatever the case may be, to kill stuff, so to keep them from getting sick, illness, infections down there from not being clean enough, right? From you not getting them clean enough. Okay, super important, I think, too, if you have somebody who's bedridden and, you know, you're giving them like, you know, a little bathtub, you know, in the bed, that's how they're getting clean. I think those sprays, that's where those sprays really, really would come in handy to ensure somebody is getting all the way clean and all that bacteria that's down there is getting killed. Okay, so already talked about de-stink, already talked about urine sprays, OxyClean stain stuff is what I was using. We'll talk about laundry a little bit. Strongest soap that you can get, right? You don't want any kind of dainty stuff. You're going to want the good stuff. You're going to want the Tide. We use Arm & Hammer. That has worked. That's our go-to. When they brought him, they brought, I think it was Gain. They were like, this is what we use. I just used what I had. So what I knew to be true. So laundry was a big deal, and in my opinion, pretty expensive, because, you know, I was putting in 2 things of beads in the inside. I was putting in, you know, your normal soap, Arm & Hammer soap, a fabric softener, and then I was putting in vinegar. So putting in about a cup of vinegar in the load as well, and then washing, and that was doing the trick. When I didn't do the vinegar, this was the learning curve. At first, it wasn't quite getting all of the urine smell. By the time I was getting the dryer, it was still smelling like urine. So I made sure that I did all that stuff. I started adding the vinegar, and then I also make sure that we do his clothes on heavy wash, which can be difficult because a heavy wash is like a 2-hour wash cycle, right? And so that's a lot more water, you know, that's a longer that your washer's tied up. So having either baking soda or vinegar, I think, is a must to help with the urine, especially at the beginning. We were washing everything. We were washing all of the bedding. We were washing all of the pads, all the washable pads. We were washing, which some of them are quite large. We were washing all, you know, throughout the day, the underwear, because he wears pull-ups, but he wants to wear his underwear, right? He wants to feel like a real person still. And so underwear, and then, you know, whatever his bottoms were, his sweats, whatever. Okay, so what else? So soaps, beads, fabric softener, vinegar or baking soda, heavy wash cycle. For eating, a bib, right? So they brought him, he had bibs so that, you know, he's feeding himself 100%. All I do is I cook him a meal, put it in front of him, and he eats it. The most is having to cut stuff down for him, right? So because there's not a lot of strength like to cut. So I'm cutting it for him, but essentially our situation, I'm putting it in front of him and he's eating it and getting him some stuff to drink, and he's good. But it's just that, you know, Parkinson was a little bit of shaking. Sometimes, you know, he's missing his mouth and he's getting it. So bibs are really good. Also, a symptom for Parkinson's is a lot of drooling eventually. And so it's not all the time. For once in a while, he'll fall asleep, let's say in the living room, and drooling will start. And so wanting to have so we have big food bibs to like catch food, but maybe smaller bibs, or even I was just putting like a kitchen towel across his chest when I would catch him, when I'd be like, oh, he's drooling, or even in the evenings once he goes to bed, he's watching TV, he starts drooling, just putting a towel or a washcloth is fine, you guys. But just know that I think the most important thing of when you're trying to put your list together is, what do you think you guys will need in general? And then if you know a diagnosis, somebody has something and you know something is going to get worse or whatever is happening now, you're treating those symptoms. And so for us, we know certain things are going to happen to him or are happening to him. And so it's just addressing those things to make it as comfortable as possible. Something as simple as just that washcloth or some towels to put across his chest help. He drools, then that gets cold. Then that coldness is all, this wet t-shirt is all on his chest, just making him cold. And it totally can be, you know, corrected. Okay. Let's see what else. Okay, sitting pads. So pads, you know, if he's sitting in a recliner or he's sitting wherever, I mean, we're like, hey, we got nice recliners, nice lazy boy. They need pads, things to sit on. So we have several different types of pads for him to sit on. Pillows, again, you're going to want washable pads to put over the pillows or anything that you bought because of urine. Neck pillows. So favorite thing is the lazy boy, again, with the neck pillow is better than shoving a pillow behind him. But pillows, again, are important, or pads, because you want the ability to like sit them up when they're eating, for example, or laying them back when they're trying to be relaxed, watch a football game or whatever. One of the most important things is the chest strap. I think there's a specific name for it, but it's a black strap. It goes around them like a belt here, has all these little straps on it, and so that you can help lift him up, move him, direct him, right? It's amazing because you want them to be as active as possible. And so, for example, Pops, it's time to stand up, start standing up. He'll grab, he'll lock his little walker, he'll grab the things and he'll try to stand up. Sometimes he could do that on his own. Most times he needs some kind of assistance getting up. And you can't just be reaching under their arms, grabbing their arms, lifting their bodies. They're very fragile. And so that strap is in the safest part of their back, strongest part of their back, their chest area, and you're just helping pull them up, okay? Well, you're not hurting any specific limbs on them. amazing. Amazing in the bed, amazing getting them out of the bed, in the bed, up off of a couch, out of a chair. It really doesn't matter. Helping to just have something, say you're taking a walk outside, they have their walker, but just having that and having the ability that when they start to, falter a little bit, you've got a strap thing that you can grab again, instead of just grabbing an arm or trying to just catch them, you have that to help balance them. Okay. Helping them down on a toilet, whatever the case may be, that thing is magic. So I would highly suggest is he had one, it's going to go home with him. I'm going to buy a few because I think that it's so important that you want to make sure you have a backup. So don't just get one of those. Make sure that you're going to get two of those. Plus you never know when there's a few people, okay, that you might need it, or you need it for something else. I mean, it's a great strap that you could use to wrap around an animal that you're trying to get out of somewhere, or a kid, somebody gets stuck somehow and you're trying to just wrap it around them and then put a rope on it. I mean, it's a great strap. Okay. Forgive me for all my caregivers. They're like, yeah, that's called that. And you have the name. I don't know the special name. Walkers, different bars throughout the house. So we made sure that we had bars in the bathroom, like by the toilet. Again, he needs help anyway, but that's something that helps them push off. Or people that in general things start to hurt, and it's nice to have bars in the bathroom, and then bars next to any kind of beds. When we talk about bars too, we're talking about bars to help them so they don't fall out of the bed. So the hospital bed, for example, had bars, but if you have somebody in a regular bed, there's bars that you can buy that just either slide under the bed that are heavy base, and so it just goes up. You have ones that go and slide under the mattress, right? And it's right there to keep them in. So you can buy various things depending on whatever kind of setup you have, whatever bed you have. Again, Google the local places, the hospice places that sell that stuff, or even rent that stuff. A lot of this stuff can be rented too if you weren't trying to buy it. I think buying it is hands down the best option because you're going to get your money's worth. Shower chair, shower stools. It depends on your situation. Depends on the room, the space you have, the type of shower you have or bath you have, and whether they're doing stuff for themselves or they're doing, obviously Pops needs help the whole time. So we had a chair situation where ours is a chair, it's a bench really that is halfway in the tub and halfway out of the tub. He sits on it and then the chair slides into the shower. Hubby helps him take a shower, gets clean. He helps do himself as well. And then they'll start to dry off and then he'll just lift his legs and then slide him out. And so that's better than trying to step over, because we don't have a walk-in. So again, depends on your situation on what is going to be best for you and your situation, right? If you have a walk-in, then that's awesome. Then maybe you just need a smaller chair or stool, something of that kind. Again, if you're not to that point and you're already past that point where it's bedridden and you're doing baths in the bed, I'm sure there's going to be all types of other products that you're going to need in order to get that done. A tub, what types of soaps are good, washcloths, different things. How are you rinsing? How are you getting clean? How are you keeping the bed, dry? The laundry and everything that's involved in that, movement of them, and how do you do that when they're bedridden? It's a bunch of other things. That's why, blessings to my caregivers, because there's so many different situations that are going to require different things. Canes, he's not using a cane, but canes to me is another good one. Wheelchair, if you can get your hands on it. Again, I'm going to start looking heavily now, garage sales, different estate sales. I'm looking for a wheelchair. And if I can't find one, eventually I'm just going to get not used one, a real one, right? Because it's something I feel like we're gonna have to have. Eating tables. So basically it's like a TV tray, but it has a heavy base and it has a swivel. So you can then swivel it in so that they can eat in bed. It's great if they're eating at a chair or a sitting area. You can just swivel it to them. During the day, it's nice because you can put like artwork and paper and pen and a magazine and stuff like that for them to work on. It's just a nice table that is movable, that you can move to different situations to have them do different, different things, eating, crafts, reading, artwork, whatever. Okay. That's a must. Next thing I have is more like symptom type stuff, but stuff we ran into, issues we ran into that I think were very valuable. Some of them I had, but I really needed to go and make sure that I was getting the right stuff for him, right? So laxatives, having the ability to have stool softeners. Stool softeners is a super, super, super big one because, again, a lot of constipation with a lot of these meds that they're taking. Eye drops, again, is a dry eye, and then wanting to shut his eyelids is a thing for Parkinson's. So a lot of times, like we were watching football and his eyes were closed, but he was totally listening and paying attention and conversing and talking about the football. So there was oftentimes at first we thought he was sleeping. He wasn't sleeping. He was awake, but his eyes were closed. And so eye drops and dry eyes is a heavy thing. So for us, the refresh, the good eye drops. Electric toothbrush, right? Again, not a lot of hand movement where they have to do stuff and do a lot of the work, where they can just go like this. And a lot of that is getting that stuff good. Fiber pills, probiotics, big pill boxes. So think outside the box of not just your little weekly, like little dainty, tiny boxes, but a weekly thing, but much bigger, right? Because as they get older, they have more medications, and even the one we have is cram-packed full, right? And so be thinking about pill boxes, but bigger options or other ways of doing it. I would love to hear in the comments of people that are do caregiving that do this, the things that you have found. If you found like some fabulous, thing, you're like, this, I love this, mention it. I know you can't really do links. I think it won't let you do links really. But just say what it is. Hey, I got this at Amazon. It's called this, right? And help us out. Liquids, electrolytes, probiotics, a lot of the juices and the yogurt drinks and stuff like that. Broths, having the ability that if you get to the point where they're supposed to have liquids or something's going on and they're supposed to have liquids, there's a lot of stuff that you can dilute down and get down to a liquid form that's a regular food. But be thinking about illness, sickness, liquids, having that ability. Another thing I had to go out and get, I was so upset. I mentioned this in my Discord channel, I think, is, here's Mama Bear. I got all the meds. I got all the things, right? I'm very confident about them to come and that we're going to be able to take care of them, take care of their needs, no problem. Aspirin. Mom had forgotten her aspirin. She's like, hey, yeah, he's supposed to take a baby aspirin, low dose. And I'm like, okay. And so I go in there. I have all this aspirin and I don't got no baby dose. Now, could I have cut these aspirin down and had? Yes. But I was upset because I was upset that something is so as simple, that is such a normal thing that a lot of people have to take and do, I didn't have. And so it wasn't the end of the world, but it was upsetting. So I was like, okay, I got to get this. So needless to say, I'm stocked up on low dose baby aspirin. 80 I think is what it is for low dose. All right. I put recliner on the list. Now I know obviously if you can't get a recliner, you can't get a recliner, but it's very, very nice to have for the ease, the comfort, to being able to move them in the positions that they need to be, so that you can move them around more throughout the day for the bed sores and being comfortable and being in different positions. Huge fan of recliners. Nail kit, foot care, right? And then I have shears. I should have had this big time when I was talking about the showering situation. We have all this stuff out, baby powder, rash cream, these other different creams you want, the cream for his bed sore, the wipes, and shears. Shears is a huge one because if you end up having the pull-ups, you're going to want to cut them off. We actually had not found a brand yet that we liked that was strappable. We got some, but they were too big. They're like big. And so I wish we would have known that they ran larger than what they said they were. So it looks like they're going to be very, very nice diapers. The thing is, we ordered them. They took a very long time to get to us, and then they were way too big. And so we just kept it going with the pull-ups, with the max pull-ups, and that's been working with the pads. So this is my list, right? I hope that you guys are sharing in the comments your guys' lists. Anything that I did not mention that you're like, this is a must, this has helped us. Even if it's like a common ailment that is maybe not what I talked about today with Parkinson's and things like that. Talk about those things, dementia, other things that happen or that you're dealing with, and the things that you've been using, because there's going to be, you don't know who's watching and who's reading the comments that's going through that ailment and is like, oh my goodness, that's awesome. If it's something that has to do with sleeping situation, with changing situation, whatever it is, please share it, because if you're like me, a lot of people read the comments. I read the comments as much as I can. Sometimes I can't get to all of them, but I learn stuff from the comments all the time. So please share that if you feel the push to share with the group, okay? Because I promise you it will help somebody who's reading it as well. So as always, I hope you guys are well. I hope you have a great weekend. We're just totally relaxing. It was very, very hectic leading up to Thanksgiving. Then we had Thanksgiving. That was a lot. And so I've just really been chilling. I've been like oddly watching, I'm talking about Thanksgiving, watching the murder tapes. It's like this show of real crime show. And I've just been like obsessed with it. That's what I've been watching like yesterday and today. So, I hope you guys are well. And the other thing I've been obsessed with is some stuff that's on, Discover Channel, animals. There's one called Dynasties. Anyway, loved it. Binged that whole thing. It's so amazing to see all the different animals and creatures all over the world, and the amazing things that they go through to survive and to adapt and to live and to and to make babies and to keep those babies safe. It's just so interesting to see survival like on that level of like kingdoms of animals and species of animals that maybe we never have even seen. So I've been stuck. There's another one like 7 continents, animals on 7 continents or something like that. That's the one we're watching now. I'm telling you guys, it's amazing. And you just get this sense of like gratitude and awe almost of like these species that some of them are being, are not even going to be here, in the next, whatever, decade, 2 decades, whatever, century. And they're beautiful and they're amazing what they do to survive. They have so much grit and like, it's crazy, right? They're very, very strong. So, anyway, I don't know where I went there, but if you're still with me, thank you for supporting me. Thank you for being here, and I'll see you guys Monday on the next video. Take care. Bye.